Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting instalment of Unprecedented. I hope you're really well. This week's extract is from Richard II, Act 5, Scene 5, and is performed by Kaffe Keating. At this point in the play, Richard has been deposed from the throne by his rival Bolingbroke, who's now Henry IV, and Richard is being kept as a prisoner in Pomfret Castle. He's being kept under pretty strict isolation in prison. There's a keeper who seems to visit once a day and bring some food, though he doesn't appear in this extract. So Richard, with no one else to talk to, turns his attention to us, to the audience, and speaks to us directly via soliloquy. A little bit of a plot spoiler here. A few minutes after this moment, some soldiers, believing this will win them favour with the new king, arrive. They outnumber Richard and kill him. So of course Richard doesn't know that yet, but this is his last few minutes on Earth when he speaks to us. So this is Kaffe Keating playing Richard II. Hope you enjoy it.
I have been studying how I may compare this prison where I live unto the world. And because the world is populous, and here is not a creature but myself, I cannot do it. Yet I'll hammer it out. My brain, I'll prove the female to my soul the father, and these two beget a generation of still breeding thoughts. And these same thoughts people this little world. In humans like the people of this world, for no thought is contented. The better sort, as thoughts of things divine, are intermixed with scruples, and do set the word itself against the word. As thus come little ones, and then again, it is as hard to come as for a camel to thread the postern of a small needle's eye. Thoughts tending to ambition, they do plot unlikely wonders, how these vain weak nails may tear a passage through the flinty ribs of this hard world, my ragged prison walls. And since they cannot, die in their own pride. Thoughts tending to content, flatter themselves. They are not the first of fortune's slaves, nor shall not be the last, like silly beggars, who, sitting in the stocks, refuge their shame. That many have, and others must sit there. And in that thought, they find a kind of ease, bearing their own misfortunes on the back of such as have before endured the like. Thus play I in one person many people, and none contented. Sometimes am I king. Then treason makes me wish myself a beggar. And so I am. Then crushing penury persuades me I was better when a king. Then I am kinged again, and by, think that I am unkinged by Bolingbroke. And straight am nothing, but whate'er I be, nor I, nor any man that but man is, with nothing shall be pleased till he be eased with being nothing.
Fantastic. So just to talk about this a little bit, I'm fascinated by the relationship of Shakespeare's history plays to the real historical people he was writing about. Now, obviously, Shakespeare never lets the truth get in the way of a good story, but he was that much closer to these people than any of us will ever be. The real Richard II, as Shakespeare would have known, became king when he was only 10 years old and ruled until his early 30s when he was killed. Many biographers have suggested that Richard suffered from various quite severe mental illnesses. In fact, one of his most respected biographers even has argued that he had schizophrenia, which, as you know, is a very serious and very frightening condition. Regardless of what Richard might have gone through in terms of his mental health, Shakespeare clearly understood the way that royalty and the institution of the crown, for all that power and privilege can protect people from and does protect people from, it doesn't necessarily keep out all of the ills that sometimes we all suffer from mentally. And that idea of that the institution of the crown and its effect on members of that institution possibly being a quite uniquely isolating experience seems to be something that we're still very captivated by today. In terms of what Richard has to say about identity in this scene, I think that's one of the really interesting elements that Kaffe and I talked about as we were putting this together, as we were rehearsing. And I'd really encourage people to go back and look at the wonderful video of Macbeth by Echo Quarty, his brilliant performance from earlier in this series, after having watched Richard II perhaps, because you see this same metaphor being used over and over again by Shakespeare of playing, acting, theatre really, as a metaphor for life and for identity. Richard is asking the question of who am I now that my old identity, or my most cherished identity of being king, has been taken away from me. And in fact, earlier in the play, Richard says, I have no name. I don't know what to call myself anymore. I think this is something that a lot of people can connect to in terms of the pandemic. This idea as well of in one person playing many people, whether that's volunteering and doing things you've never done before because of the circumstances, or parents becoming teachers and educators and everything for their kids because of not having schools, and so many people have had to adapt and change and take on new identities in this experience. And that's a wonderful thing, but what Shakespeare understood was that loss of identity, whether that's a kingly title or a job or whatever it is traumatic and leaves people wondering, where do we go from here? Who am I now? I think what Kaffe was saying as we rehearsed this was that idea of being at ease with being nothing, that's very hopeful. And it reminded me of something so many people have talked about in this lockdown, this experience of the sort of quiet forcing you to confront what that is, being nothing. And if you can be comfortable with that, well, perhaps that's somewhere to start and you can build on that. It seems very, as ever, very generous of Shakespeare and very generous of Richard in this moment to offer the audience that insight into who we are. Of course, Richard gets distracted a moment later. He hears music and starts thinking about himself again, and then soldiers arrive and kill him. But Shakespeare seems to suggest that if we, in this kind of isolation, can find some sort of peace, then maybe things can get better. So anyway, that was Richard II, performed brilliantly by Kaffe Keating. Hope you enjoyed it, and please do leave your comments. I look forward to hearing what you thought of all that and what you think of the play. And hopefully see you soon. Take care.